Welcome to another exciting episode of the GameTime Athletics Podcast, and our theme here is always to inform, to entertain, to inspire. But today, there's going to be a little bit of information. I think inspiration is going to go a long way because this is probably for here and all time the most important episode of the GameTime Athletics Podcast we will do, because today we have some very special guests with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Jordan, I know this is a cause near and dear to your heart, so I am going to let you take the lead here.
Thank you so much, Linda Pauling, founder of Make-A-Wish. Tommy Austin, big impact on what he's done for the cause as far as providing the first wish in history. Make-A-Wish is a charity near and dear to my heart. Obviously, my mom in heaven right now, I believe, set this whole thing up. This is like talking to the Walt Disney of Walt Disney World. This is like talking to the Hulk Hogan of the WWF. This is Linda Pauling. I am honored to be able to sit down and talk with you. Make-A-Wish has just been such a big part of my life, and it's amazing to be able to speak with you on the story on what really manufactured the first wish. So I'm going to let Linda and Tommy talk a little bit about where this all started from.
February 4th, 1977, Chris and I's first day in Phoenix, and he was diagnosed with leukemia. So that meant no going home, no going back to the life we knew. We were medically bound to stay here because this is where his doctor was. During that time, I had taken a summer class because I wanted an education, something other than knowing how to clean a barn out and bale hay, okay? Knew I needed some survival skills to make a living for Chris and I. During my time, I was summer school taking a class. I met Tommy's wife, Kay Austin. She could see I was having a little bit of a problem understanding what the instructor was trying to talk about, and simply said, you know what, why don't you come over to my house and we'll study together. Maybe I can help you. So I took her up on that and thanked her very much. That was very much a blessing. Chris was probably about 5, a few months older than that, but they have a little daughter who was about a year younger than Christopher, and it was time for Amy to go to bed, so Chris was getting tired, laid down on the sofa, and shortly after that, he fell asleep, and in walks a 6-foot-something Texan undercover narcotics agent with U.S. Customs. Sees this little guy, rubs his little bald head, and wakes him up.
Came home, and there was a little boy with short hair laying on my couch with my daughter. It had been years since I'd seen a short-haired child, so I walked over and rubbed his head, flipped over, he had a little pistol in his hand, and it's freeze, I'm a police officer. I froze, he got off couch and he carefully searched me. Somehow he missed a .357 Magnum in the upside down shoulder, hoisting the .45 on the right hip and the .25 boogie gun in the right hip pocket, but that was all right, and he was satisfied I was clean. He holstered his weapon, stuck his hand out, and he said, "Hi, I'm Chris." And from then on, we were buds.
Tom and his wife, Kay, had kind of weaseled out of me why Chris is bald, why he's bruising. So I let it be known he has leukemia. We're going to work our way through it. We probably have maybe 3 years left. And it was like a ball game then. 3 strikes, you're out. So Tommy said, you know, when it's the right time, when he really needs something very special, we're going to get him a helicopter ride in a real police helicopter.
And we started talking about giving Chris a helicopter ride. And I'd tried to get U.S. Customs to do it about 6 months before we were on their surveillance. And they wouldn't do it because we were national and we couldn't do that. Now, I don't think the request ever got out of the air branch in Tucson, let alone to the air wing in D.C. And so I'd been turned down to give him a helicopter ride. So I asked Ronnie and Mike if they thought we could put a deal together. And Ronnie said, I'll be glad to help. Just when are we going to do it? And in our infinite wisdom that night, we would decide we were going to wait till the end and give him courage to fight this thing called leukemia.
Fast forwarding through the years, the two lovely people that pretty much adopted Chris and I into their family, and we did tubing down the Salt River, we did airplane shows, we did a lot of things together. And it was so wonderful to be able to have two people that I could actually talk to about Chris's illness and feelings and where should I go from here. It was wonderful, and I thank God very much for having them both in my life. It was basically in mid-April of 1980 that I took Chris into the doctor, knowing that we're getting pretty close to the end. And the doctor carried him across the street, checked him into the hospital, had him all hooked up, and I slept the next morning when his doctor came in, looked at the chart, and found Chris sitting up in bed, eating breakfast and watching cartoons. Waiting for me to wake up so we could go to the toy room and play. Paul kind of shook his head, then looked at me and said, I really don't know what's happening right now. He said, in all honesty, I expected to find him in a coma. I want to keep him one more day. And if he's like this tomorrow, then take him home, enjoy, and you call me when you need me. The next morning was the exact same thing. So Paul checked him out. I took him home and I made a phone call, but to Tom Austin.
Linda called me about 7 o'clock in the morning on April the 23rd, 1980, and she said, Chris is in the hospital, and they're giving him platelets for the last time, and they don't think he's going to live through the night, and he wants to see you, but if you don't want to, I understand. But I operated in 32 years of law enforcement on 2 premises. Number one, I said, well, I'll be right there. And she said, no, I'm taking him home. And I said, well, I'll meet you. And she said, no, he wants to come see you. I said, I'll wait. About a half hour came out into my driveway, and I went outside to get him out of the car. And dear God, he was so great. It was just unreal how sick he was. His teeth were chattering, his hands were shaking, he couldn't walk, and he really couldn't talk. So we took him in and put him in on my couch. And I made a bust a week before, and I had photos of a bad guy kneeling outside the airplane with a dope stack by him. And we talked about that, and that helped him. And he started regaining his color, and we could talk, and he stayed with us about an hour and 15 minutes, and then he was tired, so I took him, put him back in the car. I came back in, my wife and I cried and held each other because we figured that was the last time we would be able to see Chris.
Called Ronnie Cox, who was his partner for the past 3 years with DPS, the Highway Patrol, and Ronnie was undercover narcotics also. Tom had told Ronnie all about this little boy who wanted nothing but to be a cop when he grew up, and told him what he had promised, a helicopter ride. Ronnie says, I'll help. So phone calls started being made through Tom and Ron, and Ronnie had called the DPS, the helicopter crew that rescues people off the mountains and things like that, and said, do you know what? Do you think we could give the little guy a show and tell? And it was Gerald Holloway who come back. They call him Doc. It says, excuse me here, but hell no, we're going to give him a ride in the damn thing, and I don't care who knows about it.
Then I called Ron. I said, old Chris is really sick. It's time for the Smokey Bear hat. And Ronnie had been in narcotics probably 10 years by then, and moved a couple of times, and he found his old Smokey Bear hat, but it was all crumpled up, and we couldn't give him a crumpled up Smokey Bear, so he called Alan Smith and told him what we wanted to do. And meanwhile, Ronnie had talked to helicopter people, and Doc, the pilot out there, said, we're not going to give him a tour. We're going to give him a ride on the helicopter.
And Ronnie got to thinking, I think I've overstepped my pay grade here a little bit. So he calls Sergeant Alan Schmidt, who was the PR person for the Department of Public Safety, the Highway Patrol, and explained to Alan what was going on. He says, not a problem. Don't you worry about it. We'll take care of it. And Ellen calls over to the air rescue guys and says, look, just stuff some papers. I don't care what they are, what they say. I need them right away. And by the way, you stop by Scottsdale Memorial Hospital. There will be a U.S. Customs agent on the roof with a little boy. You are to fly the little boy around the city of Phoenix and show him a good time. And we'll meet you back over here at the compound.
I called Chris the next morning, very weak. Voice was very weak. Hello. I said, hey, Chris, how would you like a ride in a real police helicopter? Immediately his voice changed. What? Tell him what? I said, yep. Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we're going to go to the hospital and going to take a ride in the police helicopter. Oh, Tom, you're joking. You're joking. I said, nope, don't joke about things like that. And he said, I'll be ready. And Monday morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. Said, hello. He said, hi, Tom, it's me, Chris. You hadn't forgotten, have you? And I said, no, I hadn't forgotten. He said, well, I've been up for an hour. He said, I made up my bed, cleaned up my room, I had my shower, and I'm ready to go. And I said, well, son, it won't do any good to go over there before 8 o'clock because the helicopter's not going to be there. So you just hang on to his house, and he was already out in the driveway and walking. And when Chris got nervous, he'd go like this, and he was out there doing his hands. And I wish you could have seen the look on his face. He knew it was real then, and smiled from ear to ear.
Tommy picked up Chris in the morning, took him over to Scottsdale. They went up to the roof where the helicopter pad is and loaded Chris into the helicopter. The Ranger took off and flew him all around the valley of Phoenix, Arizona.
Put him in the helicopter. We met my wife at the hospital. And I guess the best time of the whole day was when the helicopter came in to the ground residence. Was his trash cans out in the street. And he's saying, oh, look at that, Tom, look at that. And I turned him around and had his head against my stomach where the dust wouldn't get into his eye. He's looking, look at that, Tom, look at that.
You can see little Chris waving out the window like, wow, this is so cool, you know? It was absolutely so exciting, and I was thrilled to beat the band. I don't know how to put words of a wish. You just have to be there and feel it and see it. Chris landed. There was patrol cars. There was motorcycles. Tommy was there. Ronnie was there. So many people were there. And it was whatever they could do to make this little guy happy. Sergeant Jim Eves put him on his lap, let him drive his car, steer his car down the street to the compound area, into the back lot.
In my car, I'm driving up the street over to the headquarters, and I see this patrol car come out of these parking lots. It was all over the place, red, blue lights and sirens going, and it was all over the place. In my mind's eye, I thought the guy got a call card, opened the car door, put it on the seat, slammed the car doors, the card's off into the floor, and he's been over to pick it up to see where he's going. As they passed me, it was Chris sitting in Jim Eves' lap, driving that patrol car. I was just amazed. We drove in that in the back parking lot, and there was cars everywhere. And Chris was driving that patrol car.
We went into Lieutenant Colonel Richard Schaefer's office, and Richard was the only one in the state of Arizona that could actually swear new cadets in, officially sign their certificate, and issue the badge to them. And that's exactly what he did for Chris. The officers stood him up on his desk, and these little cowboy boots were running back and forth on all this beautiful white stationery and desk pad, but nobody seemed to pay any attention to that. They just wanted to see him smile and be happy. Several years earlier, Tommy had given him a U.S. Customs patch, and I had sewn it on his little baseball jacket, and that was Chris's badge that he wore almost every single day, except when it was too hot. But Colonel Schaefer said, I hear you want to be a policeman when you grow up. And he goes, yes, I do. So Colonel says, you know what? Raise your right hand. Now, when you are 7, the left one will go up. And that's exactly what happened. But the officers got him straightened around. It was the other right hand. And the colonel gave him the oath of office. Chris took it, great pride and dignity. And the colonel reached into his desk and pulled out a shiny badge.
The only time I ever saw Chris upset, really, was when the colonel pinned the badge over his customs patch. Don't do that. That's my customs patch. That's my customs patch. Don't do that. When I started laughing, and there was a little lady standing beside me, and she said, "You like that, don't you?" And I said, "I sure as hell do."
And the colonel's explaining, this is a badge too. This is the highway patrol badge that the police officers wear. And that is exactly where it has to go. And he says, yeah, but Tommy gave me this badge. So they're going back and forth like this, kind of real quiet between themselves. And it was really very wonderful.
When you ask most of the little 4 or 5-year-olds, what do you want to be today? They want to be a police officer. They want to be an astronaut. They want to be a fireman. If a garbage truck comes by, they want to be a garbage truck driver. Chris was never that way. He always wanted to be a police officer and grow up and help someone.
The badge did get pinned over the customs badge, but Colonel reached down and grabbed a Smokey the Bear hat, the smallest one that they could find in the entire state of Arizona. And from there, we just went through various offices, and all this time, he loved bubblegum and was blowing big bubbles. The officers nicknamed him their little bubblegum trooper, and it was just a wonderful day.
To me, it was phenomenal that, to spend this much time with a little kid. It meant so much to him. And he'd look and he'd say, "Am I a real policeman now?" And I'd say, "Yes, you are." And he says, "This badge makes me a real cop." And I'd say, "Well, that's what it stands for, but to me, you're a real trooper anyway."
To me, it was so wonderful that these very important people were taking so much time out of their very important day to spend so much time with this little kid. And that was a miracle for me. It really was. Let alone Chris, through communications all the way up to the director's office where they sat and shared a stick of bubble gum and talked about all the ways to catch the bad guys.
Downstairs, we were taking pictures in front of DPS compound. Chris was tired. His dad walked him across the street, put him in the car. We took some more photos. I walked across the street. I hugged him and kissed him, told him how proud I was of him and that he was going to grow up and we were going to put bad guys in jail together. I walked back across the street. Ronnie was here, Alan was here, and Linda was here. And the four of us put our arms around the circle, tears streaming from our face, and I said, "Do y'all realize what we just did?"
He had called Sergeant Jim Eves, the patrolman who had the patrol car, to give me his arms, his legs, his waist, his neck, all the measurements, but Ronnie wouldn't tell me why. And that was one of the last things on my mind. I wouldn't have guessed it. That needs a pair of pants or shirt. What are you guys doing here?
And they got together and they put together him a regulation uniform, military creases, offset belt loop for the Sam Brown, a watch pocket, and a little bitty waist about that big. And it was a full-blown uniform, just like the DPS officer wore. Perfect
fit for Chris later that evening and overnight. They really did. That was April 30th. That was a Wednesday. On May 1st, which was a Thursday, it was hand-delivered. I was told to keep Chris at home. There's another surprise coming. We had motors, we had patrol cars, we had Tommy's undercover car.
I started walking up the driveway, and somebody says, "There's Austin." And all of a sudden, Chris comes bursting out of that door in a full-blown Smokey Bear hat, uniform. Says, "Look at me, Tom, look at me. I am a police officer. I'm a real police officer." And sure enough, he was.
We had Ronnie's. The whole street was filled with police. Sirens and lights are going. And I'm sure my neighbors thought, "Oh my God, they finally caught the woman." Another special surprise for Chris. "Don't you think we ought to try this on?" And Chris grabbed it and ran back to his room, changed into his clothes. It was absolutely fantastic.
And I knelt down and I hugged him in the driveway. It was a TV camera came out, and a great big old hand jerked that said, that's their time. And the guy that was with me, Frank Zatano, he stayed back. And it was like the two of us were there alone. And I took the major leaves off of my flight suit, and I pinned them on his everybody came out, and these are big guys. They were full-blown uniform, tears coming out of down their face. Boy, the sun sure is bright today. Man, my eyelids are killing me. And Ronnie talks even slower than I do, and he walked by and he says, golly, Chris is already a major, and he hadn't even completed the academy. And that broke everybody up.
He was walking down the hallway, grabbed his chest, and I'm thinking, oh my God, the worst, this is too much. And he goes, I forgot my badge. And so he ran back to his room. The officers got it situated just perfect. The little uniform had a nameplate on it. He had just everything that an officer has. Chris strapped on his little toy gun, his little gun belt. They were so happy and so proud to see this little guy. One of the officers had motor rings, and Chris noticed them, asked, how do I get those? And he says, well, you want to go for a ride on the motorcycle? And Chris says, no, they don't have any doors. I'm not riding in it. Chris went and got his little toy motorcycle that his father and I had purchased for him to take the place of his wheelchair. It made it a little bit easier for him to get around and to mingle, talk, play with the other children. And so out the door he comes scooting in this little bike, and just hysterical. These guys couldn't believe it. So they stripped all the little stickers that he had put on it, and they put DPS police stickers on it in appropriate places. Apache Junction had found a very small police helmet, motorcycle helmet. They had radioed it in for that day. Chris said, I want to go see Dawn, which was his little friend up the street, and know that he had a little crush on her, but everything worked out well. So I'm walking behind his little motorcycle, and he's in full uniform, going down the street, pulls into Dawn's driveway, right up on her sidewalk, takes his motor helmet off, as the men do, and hold it under his arm, pushes the doorbell. Little Dawn answers the door, and his words, see, I told you I was a real cop. It was something that I was unable to give him, and it meant so much to him, and it meant so much to me to see people. The only person I knew there was Tommy, okay? I did not know, really, or had met any of the other gentlemen, the officers. It was phenomenal. So many times when you have an ill child, especially 45 years ago, parents don't want their child to play with yours because their child might get sick. And so instead of being shunned, I was accepted, and Chris was accepted. And that was such a God's gift. Friday, woke up, asked me to take him to his doctor. He did not feel good. So I did. Dr. Paul checked him in, and May 3rd, he passed away.
And all of his police stuff in his room. And by 8 o'clock, he was in a coma. The last words he said was, Mommy, Mommy, where are you? And I said, I'm here. And he simply said, I love you. And that was it.
It was that quick. But thanks to Tommy, who was a true instigator in all this, made it happen through friends of friends, police officers, and just made it worthwhile. When I had returned from Illinois, which is where he's buried, in his full uniform, badge and all, we all kind of got together. A couple of the officers, Sergeant Smith and Jim Eves, Ronnie, Tommy, and there's 2 officers that did pass away, but we got together and we said, you know, all of us, and Kathy McMorris, who's the wife of one of the officers, said, there's more kids out there. Let's go find them.
Can't do it as haphazardly as we did this one. What are we going to name it? We talked about Aladdin's lamp. We talked about dreams come true. We talked about wishes come true. We talked about fairy godmother and good father. But that was the moment that Make-A-Wish was born.
Let's start a foundation. By God's grace, we'll make it happen. And He'll make it happen. We started to put a few bucks, that whatever change, whatever money we could all spare until payday, and we $37.76.
Chris Greicius, honorary member of the Department of Public Safety and a very special little boy.
That's all, ladies and gentlemen.
Since 2011, Innovate Media has transformed everyday spaces into powerful engagement platforms. What started with commercial massage chairs has grown into a multi-concept, multinational network delivering over 2.5 million guest experiences every month. With more than 10,000 assets nationwide, our partners rely on us for industry-leading coverage, data-driven insights, and technology that creates real one-to-one consumer connections. At Innovate Media, quality isn't a tagline, it's the standard behind every experience we deliver. If you're ready to evaluate your property and unlock new revenue, visit Innovate Media and see what smarter engagement can do for you.
Great-grandfather Frank started it, a little store in downtown Pottsville. 4 generations and over 100 years later, Murphy's is still a neighborhood jeweler experience. Sure, with a few more brands, but still defined by a passion for fine jewelry and timepieces. A genuine enthusiasm for people and the patience to get it right. That's how we did it in 1913, and that's how we still do it today. The Murphy Experience.
The stories we just heard from Linda and from Tommy are just inspirational. There's no way to put it. It's amazing to hear how it started. Guys risking their jobs, right, to be able to provide for a kid. We talk about the word hope, right? Make-A-Wish shows us that hope is one of the most powerful forms of medicine. Like Tommy said, he hung on for 11 more days just because he had something to look forward to. When Christopher passed away, his mom says, we don't remember the hospitals. We remember the wish. And that's the most powerful piece to this Make-A-Wish. Linda, I want to share a wish story with you. My mom and I, we used to go on a wishes together where she would sit at the kitchen table with the parents and fill out all the paperwork. And I would be in the other room playing with the kid to see what exactly his hobbies were. And to be able to see a kid at the early stages when they just are diagnosed with whatever life-threatening illness that they're faced with. And I'm interacting with the kids and she's doing the paperwork and it's like, you know, everybody wants to go to Disney World. A couple people wanted to have a pool built or a swing set or a room makeover. We did a shopping spree where we went to King of Prussia in Philadelphia where we took the kid in a limo where we're movie stars. We went to the Cheesecake Factory to eat. And it was everything to them. They would look at you in their eyes of joy. Every wish tells a story of courage, right? The community and the power of believing in something. You know, that's all you need in your heart. One wish in particular, it was just literally right up the road. My mom and I were driving. It was a winter night and we got a call saying the kid is nonverbal. He could hear you and he can communicate with you. And him and his brother were there. So I go and start interacting with the kid. And I said, do you take care of your brother? Right? Because the Make-A-Wish kid was nonverbal. And I got there to the house and the family was all in really nice attire. There wasn't a TV on. They were very cordial. And they're like, he's not verbal. You can try to communicate with him. And as I'm talking with him, the kid ends up having a seizure. Parents pick him up, take him over to the sofa, and they're apologizing to my mom and I. We're like, are you kidding me? I'm like, we're here for you guys. Take your time, whatever you guys need. So I wanted to take him to Disney World. And I remember leaving that night because we granted the wish, right? Whether he makes it to his wish, that's what I'm fearing on the car ride home. So I said to my mom, I just have a bad feeling in my stomach right now. I said, I hope that young man is able to make his wish come true. And 3 months later, my mom calls me on the phone and says, you know, we have to go deliver the wish package. She's going to Disney World. I said, is this the young man who had the seizure on the couch? They're like, yeah. They're going to go do the wish. I'm like, so everything's good with that, right? I go to deliver. You know how you guys set up the package with the teddy bear, the slinky, the Make-A-Wish shirt, and you get everybody excited with the mouse ears and everything like that. I knock on the door, and who I think is his brother answers the door. And I said, where's your brother at? And he looks me dead in the eyes and says, it's me. And I was like, his parents come around the corner and say, it's a miracle. There's something with his medication. He just doesn't remember that year of his life. Around Halloween time, kid's down on one knee playing with his slinky, right? Has his bear in his hand and everything. And I'm sitting on the couch next to my mom, and I say, Mom, look at this picture real quick. And you know those blankets that like hang over like chair? It had an angel on it, and the angel was looking down on him on the chair as he was sitting on the floor. And I said, look at this beautiful moment right here. You're never going to really be able to describe this to anybody, but this is amazing. This is pure beauty. And his parents said, tell him what you're going for this Halloween. The kid looks my mom dead in the eye and says, I'm going as an angel. And I'm thinking to myself, this Make-A-Wish has really elevated everything. And for those out there and all of our listening and all of our viewers, Make-A-Wish is so powerful, right, in your heart. You'll find out that doing something for someone who could do nothing in return for you is actually the richest feeling that one human being could ever experience. Those who are chasing the Powerball ticket, those who are chasing the trips to Cancun, the fancy cars, the fancy sneakers, the wardrobes, none of that compares to helping a kid who needs help. Tommy Austin knows that firsthand. He experienced it before I did. Probably 20 years, 30 years, you guys have given me the opportunity to know what that feeling's like. Since then, in our area, we were able to raise over $1 million for Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
We're very proud of it. My dad makes a big scene. He goes over to Give Kids the World, right? And I was never physically there, but he sent me these videos of Give Kids the World. He says, Jordan, you have no idea how magical this place is.
Yeah.
I was saying, Linda, isn't the therapy with the lights? How beautiful is Give Kids the World?
Everything tailored to kids. Ice cream shop, all the tables are low where they keep all the ice cream. The kids can walk right up and just look. It's right there. Everything is their size, and it is marvelous. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want. It's entirely up to the child. Yes.
That's amazing. And another thing that we want to talk about is every kid who participated with the Make-A-Wish Foundation is engraved in the Make-A-Wish history there, right? There's a room where if a Make-A-Wish kid were to stay at Give Kids the World, they get their name. Describe that a little bit, Linda.
Absolutely gorgeous, but it is engraved. Their name is engraved in this one great big room, Give Kids the World. And it's the run of the place, run of the mill. Whatever they want, they get. That's just the way it is.
It's absolutely amazing. The music goes to the beat of the lights. And until they sent me those videos, when someone usually sends you a video, you aren't able to capture the euphoric moments of what's going on. They sent me that video. It was that loud and that impactful that my little cell phone screen was able to capture those moments. Make-A-Wish is such an amazing cause. I encourage everybody to get involved. Anybody can do it. That's the cool thing about this, right? There's chapters all over the nation. Talk a little bit about how everybody can get involved.
Your skills, just walk through the door. Feel the magic of the people around you. Let them describe what they do. Take a day, go out with them, visit a child, see if this is something you want to do. Everybody has something to offer. We really do. And you have a heart, you want to do this, you have a big heart. Just do it. What does it take to give love to someone? Just a heart. Go for it. Just do it. Become involved and give of yourself, not asking, you don't want anything in return. Tommy knows that. Ronnie, all of us co-founders, we were all together. We all started this organization together. So Ron, Tom, Jim Eves, Kathy McMorris, myself, yes, we're all in Sergeant Schmidt. We're all the co-founders of Make-A-Wish.
Linda, I have to tell the audience this. I get an email from Ann Waltman. She's going to be hopping on here very shortly. And she gives me Linda's phone number, and I call Linda, and Linda answers the phone with this excitement and energy. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm talking to the Linda Pauling. Is that who I'm talking to right now? And she says, yes, this is me. Her energy, guys, I just want to, just so everybody sitting at home understands, the power of something so special comes from energetic people. This is a beautiful, beautiful cause, and your spirit, Linda, and your kindness, Tom, and your heart at that age with risking everything is what really sparked the roots. $37.76. I want to get a t-shirt made. $37.76, because that just shows anyone could do anything. And where is it at today? Where is Make-A-Wish at today? Over 650,000 wishes.
We're in multiple countries, as Tommy said, and it's still growing. It is still growing. Wish kids are growing up and coming back as wish people, granting wishes to other children. It is marvelous. And look at the love and the caring and the giving that they're giving back, because that wish meant so much to them. They want to give it to somebody else. So I truly give all the glory and grace to God for everything that we have been able to do. And I know it was by God's will that Tommy and Kay came into our lives. Chris, we just happened to meet. They happened to be partners in crime, and yes, all the other people. So this was meant to be. So come join us, be a part of Make-A-Wish, and you won't regret it. You really won't.
Absolutely. Tommy, we're going to bring Ann on here shortly. I wanted to thank you so much for coming on here. I'm excited to meet you in person in December. I'm going to be able to kick it with you a little bit more and go into details about more into Make-A-Wish and all those great stories that we could share. So I wanted to personally thank you for taking time on coming on. It's just a beautiful story. You inspired millions of people when you think about that. That is amazing where you guys have taken this whole foundation and you took it from here to there over years, and the amount of support that everybody gave is truly, truly amazing. And I am blessed to be a part of this by the grace of God. And obviously, I really think my mom, who was involved for her lifetime here, had a lot to do with this. This is just amazing. I'm extremely thankful.
You know, it was meant to be. We couldn't start out saying 4 or 5 of us get together and say, let's go do something and have it go any better than it's gone. It was meant to be. There was absolutely no reason for me to have ever met Chris. Somebody from Sanco, Texas, via Robert Lee, via San Angelo, via Houston, via New Orleans to meet a 4-year-old. His mama was not a drug dealer, nor was she a drug smuggler. So I would have never had an opportunity to have met her. Linda or Chris. It was meant to be, and that's the reason that we are where we are today, because it was God meant it for us to do it.
I appreciate that. That's very powerful, Tommy. I thank you. This is amazing. I will keep you posted with December event.
Okay. Anytime.
When it comes to building right, experience matters. For generations, Heim Construction has delivered quality craftsmanship across custom homes, renovations, commercial projects, concrete work, and infrastructure construction. From concept to completion, our team is known for dependable timelines, attention to detail, and results built to last. If you're looking for a contractor you can trust, choose Heim Construction. Built on experience, built to last.
When it comes to fresh quality turkey, Cuck's Turkey Farm has been a family tradition for over 85 years. From whole turkeys and turkey products to deli meats and specialty items, you can trust Cuck's for delicious farm-raised turkey that's always fresh. Whether it's for your holiday feast or everyday meals, Cuck's has you covered. Cuck's Turkey Farm, where quality and tradition meet.
Looking for insurance that fits your life and budget? Jeremy Baczynski with State Farm is here to help. From auto and home to life and business insurance, Jeremy creates a personalized coverage plan designed around your needs. Get a quote today at ilovethefarm.com or call us at 570-622-5684.
We are bringing Ann Waltman in, regional coordinator from York, Pennsylvania. Ann has been part of Make-A-Wish for a long, long time as she's been involved. And how long have you been actually involved in Make-A-Wish?
I've worked for Make-A-Wish for 23 years, and it's come a long way since when Linda and Tom started it. It's an honor to meet and hear from them, and we have about 63 chapters now of Make-A-Wish. Our chapter, Make-A-Wish Greater Pennsylvania, West Virginia. There's 57 counties in Pennsylvania and all of West Virginia. And we have done, our chapter alone, we are one of the largest chapters. Following in Linda's footsteps from that very first wish, we have done over 21,700 wishes so far, just for our chapter. It can be a game changer, a wish for a child. I just am still honored and excited to go to work every morning and make these kids who are going through so much make their dream come true.
She has had such a big impact on our local chapter as she helps us with our events. Linda, she would be your right-hand girl out there in Arizona if you had her out there, for sure.
I'd be honored. I can't wait to meet you. Our chapter fulfilled 487 wishes, and almost half of those were Disney World wishes. That seems to have been the trend over the years, that Disney World accounts for a lot of wishes. Some of my favorite wishes are when the child really thinks about what they want to become. We were honored. Our 20,000th wish at our chapter was to be a police officer, just as Chris wanted to be in a similar way when he wished so many years ago. So that meant a lot to us, that it was such a momentous wish for our chapter, and it also brought us back to our origins. And we could use volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers. As you know, Jordan, being a wish granter, we always need more, 500 chapter wide. So that's one of our real needs, more volunteers.
Absolutely. We use this platform for that reason. You know, we want to inspire everyone to get involved. We're going to post the link here for you guys to get involved. Make it this. It doesn't mean you have to write a check or anything from that perspective. And the power of a wish is the most amazing thing. And we talked about what the hope is. Hope for a kid in a hospital is everything at that moment.
Yes.
Ann does this full time. You have a beautiful job, Ann. You get to do this full time. And it's truly inspiring.
It is, and it's just wonderful that these families let us into their lives at such a difficult time, and they share so much with us. They become our friends, and we become involved. I've been invited to graduations and Sweet 16 parties over the years, and that's one thing that's changed from the beginning to now is so many of our kids live longer lives, and the prognoses of the illnesses back in the 80s was not very encouraging. And nowadays, over 85% of our kids live long, healthy lives. So it would really help us if people would go to our website and refer a child or refer their own child if they haven't had a wish before.
The message that we sent today is going to echo through the whole nation. We want to be able to spread the word, put this out, get out there and help these kids. Brian, if you want to take us home from this beautiful episode of Game Time Athletics.
One of the things I think that I really took away from this, just personally, if I can inject a little bit personal into this, is when Linda and Tommy are recounting the first wish and everything that was done for Chris. It's been a while. It's been decades and decades and decades. Linda remembers every single name of every single person along the way that helped. And somebody then went to build this. And that foundation is it's changing millions of lives. It's prolonging millions of lives. And that is a very powerful thing. It is a very motivating thing. So let's throw the contact information if you want to become a part of that under here, because that is the message I think we need to stop this on, is that there is so much room for this to grow even more. It's amazing that it started where it did, and it has grown to this in less than half a century. But there is so much more potential, so much more power for it to grow, and there's no more powerful message to end on than that. And with that being said, there is a word in reddish orange behind myself and Jordan.
Game time. Let's do it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We'll see you in December, Linda.
Okay. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you, Ann.